welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed podcast. And today we will be talking about the IPL retentions, something that we have been building up for the past month or so. It has finally happened, and we have got the retentions and the releases from each and every team. So I think this is the episode we were all waiting for. Not a very good day to be recording because of the events that have happened prior to this. India just lost a horrible test match where they couldn't chase 120 in the fourth innings, but I don't think we should be talking about all that. Uh, just focus on the good things and forget the bad things. So I would like to welcome my co-host Yash as well. So how was your weekend?
Yeah, my weekend was amazing, but clearly your day wasn't so good because of that long rant right at the start. But I think the viewers can expect a TUF mini about this from you. But yeah, my day was good. I'm looking forward to this because it's IPL and it's an exciting auction that's ahead of us.
Yeah, I was specifically not impressed with our boys because I was awake the entire night and watching. I was expecting a winning moment to begin my Sunday, but it didn't go that way. So I remember sleeping at 3 o'clock, kicking the bed in anger and almost hurting my leg, but I think that is what we should expect with this Indian Test team at least. Not that we have won a lot of ODIs in the recent past, but I think we'll move on to IPL, which is where all the administrators will move on as well very quickly to make us forget this debacle. So I think we will divide this big event into two parts. First, in the first part, which is this episode, we'll talk about everything related to the retentions. So the retentions review.
Yeah.
And in the next part, we'll talk about, we'll preview the auction and talk about strategies related to that. And I think that will come closer to the auction. So here we'll be talking about everything about the retentions. So what were your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts are that it was more or less expected, all the retentions that happened. There weren't really too many surprises because we had already spoken about almost all the players that ended up being released, like Russell or Pathirana, or the retention of Mayank Yadav, for example. So I don't think there were too many surprises, but at the same time there are a lot of big ticket players who have been released. So the auction will be very interesting this time.
Yeah, so I think there was a perfect mix in a content point of view of retentions and releases. So we will go through, we'll not go through each and every retention as such because most of them were expected. But I have shortlisted five of the most talking points in relation with what we said as well in our podcast. So for me, the first major point, which was kind of unexpected for me, was that Mitchell Stark was retained by the Delhi Capitals. I remember him saying a lot of uh, inappropriate or under the belt things after facing that match suspension in Dharamshala and all of that. He did mention that it was a tragic experience and very poorly managed by the franchise and the management. So I didn't expect him to be retained after that. So what did you make of that retention?
Yeah, I was also a bit surprised. I actually don't really know what he said, but from what we had discussed, it must have been something pretty bad. But I think the team if they actually did a bad job, they would know. And if Mitchell Stark didn't say something that was not true, I don't think the team would have had that much of an issue. And clearly, they loved his performance last time. Although I don't think it was too impressive. He had a couple of good games, but he went for a lot of runs. But they've decided to back him for one more year. The only thing is, the IPL is after an Ashes, and I'm not sure if he's going to play in the T20 World Cup. So if he will be fit throughout the IPL, that will be an important thing to look at. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised, but I think Delhi saw beyond his comments and they kind of value his performance.
Yeah, I think we did talk about it in our preview that he's retired from T20 cricket, so he won't be playing
Okay.
in the World Cup. So, in that sense, it was a good decision. And I think we had gone as far as to say that he would be a great addition to Gujarat Titans in the auction.
Yeah,
So it was really unexpected. But as you mentioned, I think there was a mutual agreement, and maybe they realized that said that in the heat of the moment, and things do happen. They did release Faf du Plessis and Jake Fraser McGurk,
yeah,
which we did uh, uncover as well. Uh, I think Faf was expected because he's old and he might get uh, Delhi might get better options. But do you think they did the right thing by releasing McGurk, especially after just the previous season, the kind of faith they showed in him, and I think they got him on RTM.
yeah.
So in just 1 year, and that too while being on the bench for major part, do you think they did the right thing there?
I feel the other way around. I'm actually surprised that they released Faf, and I'm not surprised at all because with the McGurk release, because even in 2024, he played really well in the start. I think a few games against MI, I remember he played a very destructive innings. But after that, he was quite inconsistent, and he always had that one template where he would just go bang bang, and one in let's say 6 innings would come off well. Otherwise, he would just get out. And last season, I think he was into playing 11 at the start because they had bought him for 11 crores, so they had to play him. And he wasn't very impressive. He was getting out the same way, and he didn't seem to learn from his dismissals. So 11 crores didn't make sense. So I was convinced that they would release him. They can obviously go back for him because I'm sure he won't be as expensive this time. So they might get him for like 2 or 3 crores. But with Faf, I think even though he's old, he's still playing all the T20 leagues around the world. So he's in touch. And last year also we saw that he was contributing really well, especially in the in the second half where he was their primary opener. So that's a surprise because you won't get a lot of experienced batters like this, and I'm sure someone else will scoop him up and he will be an important player in this IPL because of his experience and his skills.
Yeah, I think the price, as you mentioned, did play a part in the release of McGurk. Uh, Faf du Plessis, I think going by the recent auction trends, I can totally see Faf being one of those players where everyone expects everyone to bid very quickly, but no one does, and he goes unsold, especially at the start of the auction, and then maybe in the accelerated round, someone tries to get him, and maybe ends up in a team like MI or CSK. I think that's the pattern that we've seen.
Yeah,
So now we'll move on to MI, a kind of a segue that I messed up. Uh, so we did talk about it before going live that they retained Will Jacks but released someone like a Bevan Jacobs who I believe had a higher potential and higher ceiling. So they did retain Jacks, which wasn't expected by me at least. Uh, so we did talk about how because of the repeated mega auctions popping up
yeah,
and a big reshuffle happening in every 3 years, there is no incentive for the teams to develop youngsters. So do you think that played a role in this release of Bevan Jacobs?
Yeah, 100%. Because uh, the mega auction, I think it's going to be the season after the next one. So we only have one more mini auction, and the next one will be a mega auction. So there's basically no reason for them to build or to develop Jacobs again because he didn't get a chance last time. So I don't think he'll be a starter this time if they had retained him. So he would have played 4 or 5 games. Maybe next season he would have been a starter, and then again it's a mega auction. So they wouldn't have been able to retain him because they have other players ahead of him. So it doesn't make sense to invest your time into a player like this because it also then compromises your chances to win the tournament. Whereas if you look at 2018, when I think at that time there was a like the news was that the mega auctions were going to get less frequent, which is why Emma had built a very young squad and they had kind of said that we are not expecting to win in 2018, and they built players like Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, and in 2019 they were able to win, and then 2020 as well. But now they have to think short term, which is why they have gone with Will Jacks. And as you mentioned, I think in our podcast a couple of episodes back, that he is playing lower down the order now for England. So I think the batting conundrum that was there last season, where he was playing at number 3 and that was sacrificing Tilak and Sky, that won't happen this time because I think Jacks will play at number 5 or 6 after Tilak and Sky. So it kind of sorts itself out, and you get an experienced world class T20 player who can also bowl, and which was quite important for them last time. So there was no reason for them to release him. Although there were a few rumors, MI silenced all of them.
Yeah. So I remember when the mega auction happened in 2018, the cycle was for 4 years, and
Yeah,
the next auction happened only in 2022, and then they, for some reason, shortened it to 3 years. So I think if not completely do away with the mega auctions, they can at least increase the length of the cycle again,
yeah,
because this is just not a good way for franchises will change their strategies. And I mean, even they have every right to do so, because there's no point developing youngsters if they're not going to be your top 4 or 5 picks before the mega auction. There's no point. So I think that is something that needs to be worked on. And other than this, Mumbai Indians didn't really release much of their core.
yeah.
I remember talking about KL Srijit as one of the potential future stars, but again, because of the same reason, I believe, uh, wasn't worth the money, so they had to let him go as well.
Yeah, with MI, I think they only have 2.75 crores left for the auction because they also traded in 3 really good players. So, what are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that? I think they've done the work for the auction before the auction. They don't really need anything in the auction now, apart from a few backups.
yeah, I think we will be talking about the trades later. Uh, but MI did go big. They were the most active team of all in the trading window. So we'll talk about that soon. So I think the next retention talking point would be Shimran Hetmar being retained by Rajasthan Royals, and not because of the kind of player he is, or the fact that they got Sam Curran or Jadeja in, but I think he has been on a downhill, and it's very, very evident. He hasn't been working on his fitness as well, and even that is very visible. And on top of that, he was the retention, and I think for over 11 crores.
11 crores, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think retaining him for 11 crores is worth the gamble?
Yeah, it's a big mystery to me why they, in the first place, retained him last time and even this time? Why have they continued with him? The only possible reason is that there may not be a lot of uh, middle order finishers this time. And I think RR also have a pretty small purse. So if they released Hetmar and if they didn't get their target player, I think they would have had a few weaknesses there. But I think Hetmar, he has played with RR a lot, so they know him really well. He likes the team, they like him. And he did play well last time. There were a few games that he couldn't finish, but I remember one game against, was it Gujarat, where they finished it off at the very end. Or was it the year before? I'm not sure. But he played a very good
Mm.
knock in that match. But yeah, it's quite a mystery. One possible reason could be that they let go of Nitish Rana, so that kind of weakened their batting. So they wanted to keep the core in there. So I don't know if Hetmar is part of their core, but that could be an explanation maybe.
Yeah, he does need to work on his core, but for the moment, he has been retained. So I think the next biggest talking point is another retention that we almost wrote off as
Yeah,
a release, and that is Henrik Clase. He was retained. I absolutely, from all the kind of hype and narrative that was built, I didn't have any hopes of him being retained, but he was, and I still can't really believe that fake news is spread so easily on the internet because even the most reputed kind of journalists, I would not like to name them, but a lot of them had reported that Class A will be leaving the franchise, and yet here he is.
yeah.
So, what did you make of this?
Yeah, even I was convinced. Both of us were actually. Because there are a lot of reasons that made us believe it. He's 34, so he's not getting any younger. Plus, he didn't actually have a bad season last time. I think he still scored over 400 runs, I think.
Yeah, I
Like
think
close
he
to
finished
400.
it off with 100
Yeah,
in the
so I
last
think
game.
389 or 489 runs, which is still pretty good. But he didn't finish the games that they needed him to. So, I mean, all the speculation said that he would be released. But from what I understand is that this was a last minute call. It happened on the day of the retentions. So even the owners were kind of confused whether to go for him or not. But I think they've given him one more chance because he's done well for them last time. So they believe in him. And it's good because Clase is one good player. And I hope he can do a better job than last time.
Yeah, and if I remember from the past, that is something they didn't do for Aiden Markram.
Yeah.
In just, I think, 2022, he was into the team. 23, he captained them,
Yeah.
and he did decently in 22. 23, of course, they didn't have a good season. And in 24, he was just benched and sidelined for someone like a Pat Cummins. Obviously, Cummins did well, but I don't think that was the kind of treatment they wanted to give to someone like Klase. So
Yeah. I
it
think
makes sense.
a similar thing happened to David Warner and Kane Williamson as well, where after one bad season, they just left them out. So they were too quick to kick them off. So it's good that they're giving Classe one more chance.
Yeah. And he was, I think, one of those bumper retentions from last year, w-
23 crores. Yeah.
23 crores. So I can see why they would have thought of releasing him because 23 crores being released is a big amount. But then surely giving him another chance is also worth the gamble. And talking about SRH, what really surprised me is that they didn't really release any of their major players. So just to confirm, they just released Abhinav Manohar, Atharva Taide, Sachin Baby, Vian Molder, Simarjeet Singh, Rahul Chahar, and Adam Zampa, and traded out Mohammad Shami. But I think most of their playing 11 is still locked in. and
Yeah,
they still have the third biggest purse going into the auction, which is 25.5 crores. So I think they did play really well with their
yeah.
bets.
I think the Mohammad Shami trade really gave them a lot of extra money. I'm I'm kind of convinced that if Shami hadn't been traded, um, or if they'd retained Shami, then they would have released Clase. So just because they got that money from Shami, they could keep Clase and still have a sizable purse for them.
Yeah. So I think now, do you have any other major retentions that you were surprised with?
Um, I was kind of surprised with Lucknow retaining Mayank Yadav again for 11 crores. I do understand with Mohsin Khan because he was worth only 4 crores, so it's not that big of a loss. But Mayank Yadav for 11 crores, I hope he has convinced them that he's going to play for at least 50% of the season. Otherwise, it's just stupidity from them if he again goes missing.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him anywhere in a long time. So surely there has to be some communication. Otherwise, it's a
Yeah,
very big gamble. Yeah, so I think talking about the releases now, because that's where most of the excitement was.
yeah,
The first major, uh, more than the release, is talking about the team, which is Kolkata Knight Riders. Uh, Very interestingly, they released six of their foreign players. So they basically, in the current squad, just have two foreigners, which are Sunil Narine and Roman Powell. And they released all others, including Andre Russell, which is one of the biggest names for KKR. And what really surprised me was that Venki Mysore, I think in an interview or somewhere in the media, he did mention that Andre Russell will be a knight uh, till the end
yeah.
of the franchise and till the end of his career. So does that mean that he's going to retire and join them as a support staff, just like Pollard did, or he's not that committed to the franchise and is willing to continue playing in the IPL?
Did he say this recently? Because I saw a tweet in 2020 where he had said this that Andrew Russell hopefully will remain a knight for his entire career, and now they released him. Um, from what I heard in the different shows that I listened to yesterday, it was Russell who asked for him to be released because maybe he wasn't happy with the management or the kind of role he got last time. Because I think last year he got very less bat and he wasn't really promoted at the top, which was the case in the previous years. And I think it must have just gotten a bit draining for him with no Gautam Gambhir again. So it's a break, and there are teams that are interested in him. So I think he's going to keep playing.
Yeah, I think if that is what the reason was, with Russell himself asking to be released, I think that's a bit more surprising for me because if I was Russell, I would have been a bit more loyal, and not just in that sense, but also the coaching management. If you had a problem with that, KKR have completely revamped their coaching management.
Yeah,
So they have got Abhishek Nair as the head coach. So I would be willing to uh, hang in there for another season if I was Russell. But obviously he has his own reasons. Uh, so that was a big release. And they also released Quinton de Kock, Ramonullah Gurbaz, who were fighting for the same spot last year, and now both of them are gone. And then Anric Nokia and Spencer Johnson as well. Again, two bowlers. I don't understand why you have to release all of them. And maybe we're not convinced, or maybe you're just trying to undo whatever was done by the previous management.
yeah.
So, so six foreigners gone, and they have got 64 crores left in the auction, which I think is the biggest purse ever for a mini auction.
Yeah.
So what do you make up of the squad that's remaining with KKR?
I think it doesn't look as bad as we think because they still have their batting core kind of there with Ajinkya Rahane at the top. Sunil Narayan may be at opening, but I don't think he should open. But he's there as an option. You have Angakrish, Raghuvanshi, you have Manish Pandey, Rinku Singh, and your bowling is also pretty much there. You have Sunil Narayan, CV Varun, Harshit Rana, Vaibhav Arora. So they have 12 players, and usually we have seen KKR always like to have a smaller squad. So they'll
Mm.
try to go for 19, 20 players, which is approximately 7 to 8 players, and they have 65 crores, so they can basically just go big for all the roles now. There are rumors that they might go for Cam Green to replace Russell, so they can basically just go till the end, outbid everybody else, and they can spend on average 8 crores on each player, which is quite a lot of money. So I think Abhishek Nair, he has he has tried to kind of undo the mistakes of the previous management, but he's done a good job. He's retained the right players and he has a lot of money now. So I think he can do a good job there.
Yeah, I think one of the problems with KKR last year was that they often just packed their batting to the brim, and most of the batters there didn't have clarity of the role.
Yeah,
You had Ramandeep Singh come in at number 9 as well sometimes.
yeah,
So, as you mentioned, Russell too might have been annoyed with that part. So, everyone, the most obvious thing would have been to just go hard at it, but then they would still end up getting bowled out before 20 overs. And it was a very weird kind of a balance of the side. So, I think that is what Abhishek Nair should be trying to focus on the most to
yeah,
get the balance of the team right. And he has done well, as you mentioned. Most of his retentions seem to be in line with that, just fixing the balance. So hopefully they can do that. And talking about overseas cleanup jobs, of course, the Chennai Super Kings also did that. Not in as big a proportion as KKR, but still they released Devon Conway, Rachin Ravindra, and Mathisha Pathirana and traded out Sam Curran. So those are four big overseas players just gone like that.
yeah.
I think Conway was on the cards. He has been on a downhill for a while. I saw a bit of potential in Rachin,
Yeah.
but what did you make of those releases?
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised with Conway and Rachin. With Rachin, they gave him 2 seasons, but he was very inconsistent. I think he started off well last time. He smashed a few runs against MI specifically, and then he just disappeared. I was quite surprised with Pathirana because he just had one bad season and they just released him. But if you look at the squad that they have, um, I think that three overseas players are pretty much in the squad right now. You have Davor Brevis, Noor Ahmed, and Nathan Ellis. I think these three are going to play every match. So they might not need a second overseas pacer. They might do it with Anshul Kamboj and maybe Mukesh Chaudhary if they still have him, and a few other Indian pacers. And they might want to have an experienced batter, an overseas batter, or like an all-rounder, similar to Maxwell or Russell. So that the strategy might have changed because of which they released Pathirana, but he was the only surprising one for me.
Yeah, I think uh, Nathan Ellis is definitely much better than Mathisha Pathirana.
Yeah,
Uh, and Pathirana has been struggling with his control for quite a while. Even when he did do well for CSK, he always, most of the times, bowled at least three wides in an over, and it does affect you. And when you're not in form, these things matter even more. So his control has been a problem, and he's also been a bit injury ridden in the recent past. So
yeah,
maybe that's why the call was taken. And they have got a very, very good young core, and I did not expect to be saying that, considering the kind of mega auction they had. Just one season later, even before the auction, they have a very solid team in place,
Yeah,
which is really just the CSK way of doing things. But it's good to see them finally realizing that they need to update their manual and not bank on old players anymore. So in just half a season of failure, they realized it and have completely changed, which is really good. And they followed through with that in the releases as well. They have released Rahul Tripathi, Deepak Hooda, Vijay Shankar, all of those expected people are gone. And of course, the big news is that they have Sanju Samson as well in the team. So the batting, I think it's one of the most dangerous and future-proof looking batting units.
yeah. They've basically undone all of their mistakes from last time because I think they were a bit overconfident on their philosophy of signing experienced players and bringing or helping them get to a new peak or a second peak in their career. But that didn't happen last time. But you can't trust CSK. They might just go for Steve Smith, Andre Russell, and Glenn Maxwell again and create another daddy army. Or even Faf, you never know. He might come back in yellow. But yeah, as you said, Sanju Samson coming into the order gives them that boost. Because last time, what used to happen is that they would just fall behind in terms of the scoring rate, and they never even chased 160 or 170 totals, which is almost peanuts in IPL right now. So I hope they just play more aggressive cricket. Their youngsters will help them do that, and Sanju Samson coming in should hopefully improve that as well. But do you think he will be the captain, or will they stick with Ruturaj Gaikwad?
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, Gaikwad will be the captain in the next year, but surely they can look at him as a potential captain in the future, though he is not exactly the youngest out there, but I think he is a good backup option. And what that also means is MS Dhoni can maybe assess the things, how is the future looking, and take a call on his retirement because surely that day will come where he retires. He can't play till he dies. So I think they need to. That's why they specifically went for someone like a Sanju Samson. Uh, if things look good for Dhoni, maybe he'll take the call after the next season. That's what I feel. But what is more interesting to me about CSK is that despite getting in Sanju Samson and uh, still having a very exciting batting unit and a few bowlers, they still have 43 crores to spend in the auction.
Yeah,
So they can pretty much eye for a couple of players that they prefer and just go all in on them and still that would lift their team even more. So
yeah,
I think they do look like they're building a dynasty out there.
yeah, exactly. It's basically going to be CSK, KKR, and maybe SRH who will go for green. So that's pretty much confirmed. But yeah, they should go for one big player. They really need that power in the middle order.
Yeah. And one thing I would like to see, there's been so much talk about Cam Green. What would be interesting is if in the end he decides to just skip the IPL because of workload management. So I'm sure no team is specifically waiting for him, but that would be very hilarious if someone has thought about just saving 25 crores for Cam Green and just doesn't show up in the auction. So
Yeah,
that is for a later day. But yeah, so talking about Punjab Kings next, I think I was fully expecting them to finally have a great aftermath of a season and uh, have a perfectly normal retention list, have some stability, and they ended up messing even that up and released Josh Inglis, who they had for just 2.6 crores. So how bizarre is that?
yeah. I'm very happy because as an MI fan, he had basically just he was the one player who kept hitting runs against them twice in 2 matches. But from what I understand, and I saw an interview from Ricky Ponting, he said that Inglis won't be available for most of the season next time. He might not even come for the IPL, which is why it didn't make sense for them to retain him. To be honest, I still would have retained him if he was going to come the year after. But maybe they spoke with him and he wasn't sure, so they released him. So it's not they're not this stupid where they just release him for nothing. It's his
Not like the
availability
old.
that's an issue.
Yeah, that does make a lot more sense. Uh, and they also released Glenn Maxwell, which was expected given the kind of performances he had. And they also released Aaron Hardy without really giving him enough chances. I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
And they retained Mitch Owen instead, who had replaced Maxi last year. So I'm interested in seeing how they fill up those three OC spots because last year they uh, went hard for Australians and now they've released three Aussies. So I want to see if Ponting is really hell bent on continuing with the tradition or was it just a coincidence last time that he had so many Aussies?
Yeah. I'm also very happy that they retained Stoinis because he's a quality player. I don't think they used him the best last time. But even in the
Yeah,
final, I think when the batting collapsed, Stoinis still was quite dangerous, and all the fans were still scared that oh, Stoinis is still playing. Unfortunately, got out on a duck of the first ball, I think, or he hit a six and got out, something like that.
yeah,
But
in the same over.
I'm happy that they kept him. He's a very good player. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, I think even they know that they didn't utilize him that well. So they couldn't really judge his performances, and I think that's why they decided to stay with him.
Yeah,
Uh, so maybe the last major talking point of the releases is of course Lucknow Super Giants. We recently uploaded a short saying why they weren't all that relevant in among the fans. So even here they're the last ones to be mentioned. So they did have an interesting strategy. They released Akash Deep and Ravi Bishnoi. I think we did talk about them releasing at least one of them, but they did end up releasing both of them. So
yeah.
do you think, especially someone like Akash Deep, deserved another chance?
I'm not so sure about him because he didn't play a lot of games last time, so they didn't really have anything to assess Akashdeep with, and I think they got the services of Mohammad Shami and Arjun Tendulkar. So I think they would one of them would replace Akashdeep in the side, and they would hope that Mohsen and Mayank will play. So that kind of eliminates the need for Akashdeep. But I'm very surprised that they released Ravi Bishnoi. Uh, I mean, I did suggest that they could think of doing it. But now that I think he's not really had a bad season last time. He picked, I think, 9 or 10 wickets. But that's been his average. If you look at his last 5, 6 years, he's always picked 11, 12, 10. So he's always in that range. Last season was maybe a dip, but I think he's a quality bowler. And if they're expecting to buy him back for a lower price, I don't think that's happening. Because I see teams like CSK or maybe even SRH going hard for him because he suits that kind of bowling because he bowls flat and those googlies that he has. So it's quite a unique bowler. But I think Lucknow they trust Digvesh Rathi to do the job. He's the lead spinner only after one season, so a lot of responsibility on him now.
Yeah, I think that did surprise me as well because after the IPL ended, he didn't really have all that great of a time in the Delhi Premier League
Yeah,
and even in the domestic games. He was constantly taken apart. So I'm not sure if you would like to trust someone like Digvish in just one season, but that's what they have done. Uh, and they have Avesh Khan as well. So
yeah.
now that it just makes too many pacers again. Last time they did need them, but uh, now that I see Mohammad Shami, Avesh Khan, uh, uh, Mohsin Khan, and Mayank Yadav, you've got four main pacers, and then you've also got Arjun Tendulkar, of course. So it's just too many options, I believe, and not everyone is going to get a chance. So maybe they could have released one of Akash Singh or Prince Yadav because even those two are pacers and maybe had a different strategy and retained Bishnoi for another season. But of course they didn't. So they have got a lot of pacers. I think even in the auction they won't even look at another pacer. So, and they also released David Miller as their only foreign release, which again surprised me because they had a lot of batters on the top. So I was just kind of looking at them releasing Matthew Bretsky because he too is a bit of an overkill at the top when you have got Rishabh Pant, Puran, and Markram. So similar to KKR, they do need to rebalance their structure. It's a bit off, especially with the foreigners. So do you think uh, they have thought about it in that way?
Uh, I mean, the structure might not be that bad because it worked out for them last time. Makram Marsh and what's the third one?
Puran.
Puran. These three players played really well. This time, if you have Pant playing well, that can add to the power that they have. And it's similar to the SRH template from the past where they had Warner, Bairstow at the top, and maybe I think even Williamson for a few seasons. And then you had Indian bowling. They had Siddharth Kaul, Bhuvi, and Natarajan. So these guys have Mohammad Shami, Avesh Khan, and one more other pacer. So it's a similar lineup or similar combination. With David Miller, I'm not very surprised because I'm quite sure that Miller himself must have asked them to release him because last year during the IPL there was a video that was quite viral on Twitter where I think I forgot his name, but he's one of the two sloggers on YouTube. He's the social media, the content manager
Oh,
at
okay.
Lucknow, and he had shot a video
Yeah.
with Miller discussing about South Africa's losses in World Cup finals or semi-finals. And Miller looked so sad because obviously, if you're asking him to rank his team's losses in World Cup knockouts, no one is going to feel happy. So I think after that, I wouldn't want to play for a side that that did this to him. So not very surprised with Miller being released.
Yeah. No wonder we lost to the same team uh, today. Yeah, and I think they also silently released Shamar Joseph. He was also part of them. So yeah, I think when you have got three quality overseas batters, it's very difficult to drop any of them. So purely, even on the reputation, you have to play them. So that left them with little choice in the bowling department last year, and I think they have kind of embraced that strategy this year.
Yeah,
So they have kind of gone full throttle on their Indian bowling ranks so that they can still play those three at the top.
and
So
now they have Bharat Arun, I believe, as the bowling coach. So I hope we can take this bunch of bowlers and make them world class.
quite a big bunch collected by us. Yeah, so I think we can now move on to the trades which happened before the retentions. I think, as we mentioned, a couple of them, which is of course the big one, was Sanju Samson being traded to CSK, but the other aspect of it was, of course, Ravindra Jadeja and Sam Curran going to Rajasthan. So now that I look at it, their entire middle order is left-handed, especially the finishers. They've got Hetmar, Jadeja, and Karan.
Yeah.
Uh, but what did you make of that transfer? Do you think Sanju Samson? was worth those two players.
Yeah, strangely, I think RR is now a better side after this trade because they have openers, the world-class openers in Suryavanshi and Jaiswal. So Samson had to play in his, not the best position for him, which is number three, and that pushed players like Parag and Jurel down, who are not really finishers. So now they have a nice batting balance, plus they get an Indian spinner, which they missed last time, and one of the best in India, and the Thalapati, as they call him, Jadeja, and Sam Curran as well is a good utility player to have alongside Jofra. So I think RR, they must be quite happy with this deal because they've gotten two really good players and they've lost someone who they didn't miss so much in the last season.
Yeah, and they also silently pushed Nitish Rana away and got in Donovan Ferreira, which has further strengthened their batting. So I'm really interested to see uh, how they approach the auction. They've got 16 crores in the bank and not much to fill. I think they did release both Hasaranga and Tikshana, so maybe they would be eyeing at a spinner because they don't really have anyone. And what really surprised me was that they retained both Quena Mafaka and Nandre Burger, and also Luandre Pretorius as their other foreigner. So maybe they could have released either of them because both are pretty much fighting for the same spot and are exactly the same kind of pacers. But uh, so I think they've got a lot of pace options. Spinners is what they will be looking at in the auction.
Yeah, and I think the only negative for them is that the batting is very inexperienced now because you have Jaiswal, Suryavanshi, Parag, Jurel. So this top four is quite new to the IPL, or they're new to the leadership role in the batting department. So they'll need them to play well. Maybe one experienced batter over there might help them. And I'm actually surprised that they let go of Nitish Rana because he was exactly that. And he played well
Yeah,
last time. I think I had a good innings of 80 against CSK, if I'm not wrong. So letting him go was quite surprising because now they lost Sanju and Rana, who were the two experienced guys. So they'll have to sort that out maybe.
yeah, I think they might be looking at playing Sam Curran or Ravindra Jadeja in the middle order, not have both of them as finishers to maybe like fill in the Nitish Rana spot. Maybe that is something Sangakkara is looking at as the head coach. But we'll come to know that very soon. And talking about the other trades which all were involving Mumbai Indians. So they basically got in three players using their trade window. Shardul Thakur from LSG, Stephen Rutherford from Gujarat Titans, and Mayank Markande from KKR. And just one of them was a player swap in which they let go of Arjun Tendulkar in place of Shardul, and the other two were just direct money
Cash
deals,
deals. Yeah.
all cash deals. Yeah. So I think those three I could very well see a franchise getting them in the auction. Those three they've got before the auction itself. So
Yeah.
what kind of advantage do they have now heading into the auction?
It's I think it's one of the smartest a few trades that the team has done, and it shows why MI is so good when it comes to the auction and even the trades. Because now historically they have done 20 trades. That's quite surprising. And the second team after them is only at 14. So they really make use of these trade windows. Because if you look at it historically, they've got the players like Trent Bolt, Quinton de Kock through trades, and they
The
have been,
captain.
and Hardik, yeah, obviously. So, and these players have been superstars for them. So I'm quite sure that Shardul and Sharfin and Mayank, obviously these three will be quite important because I see Shardul as someone who will play ahead of Deepak Chahar in some situations. They might alternate between them, and then Ashwani is a nice backup now with the four pacers that they have, and they're four world-class international pacers, so that's good. And Markande is essentially there to replace Karan Sharma, who they let go of, and Rutherford will probably be there to replace maybe Will Jacks if he's not doing well in the finishing role. The good thing for them is they got all these players for less than 5 crores, and that's the beauty of this trade deal. Because I'm sure in the auction you wouldn't have gotten these three players for under 5 crores.
Yeah, I think that's where sometimes I just feel that other teams aren't smart enough while dealing with MI because I've rarely seen them come out of a deal as the one with the disadvantage. They always play their cards very smartly, and I think they do deserve a lot of credit for that. Even here, they specifically picked the kind of players that they liked in their squad, and even the opponent or the other team wasn't too uh, kind of didn't have a big problem in releasing them. So it just is a way to strengthen your team before the auction, which is very smart. And I think Stephen Rutherford is a wonderful addition, though he has been out of form in the recent past. But uh, I mean, in the IPL, you always get very flat conditions, and you always see batters perform better in the IPL
Yeah,
than in international cricket. So he's a very good addition, and he has been with them in the past. And of course, Shardul Thakur, Wankhede is his home, so that will be an advantage.
yeah,
And Mayank Markande again, he was literally created in the Mumbai factory. So I think in that sense as well, all three of them are a very good addition to have.
yeah. There's also an interesting fact. Um, the meaning of the word Markande means it's basically the name of a sage, like a priest. So they have Markand in the side, they have the Lord, Shardul Thakur, and they have Allah Ghazanfar. So they have to win the title now this year.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And they also have Corbin Bosch as a backup who's very underrated. So I would like to see him getting chances. And of course, Allah Ghazanfar, who missed the last season because of an injury. I think he would have been the starter for them and not Santner. So I think they've really strengthened themselves. And they came third last year, but they weren't, you know, there was something missing. You could see that with
Yeah,
MI last year, and
yeah,
that is something which they have filled even before the auction. So I can
yeah.
sense a MI CSK battle in the next IPL, back to
Last
the
year,
old
yeah,
days.
definitely RCB and Punjab were like way above, and then MI were like the third best team, but they were not as good as the top two. But
Yeah.
I'm very confident, very happy, and I'm looking forward to MI winning, hopefully. The trophy drought has to end now.
Yeah, so I think that was most of what we wanted to discuss about the retentions. Uh, Most of the deals, especially the trading window deals, were very good to see, and we did talk about it in the last episode that the culture of trading players needs to uh, really scale higher for the IPL to become a better league in some way. And that would also force the management and the IPL committee to take a call on the mega auctions because sooner or later they will realize that just having the trade window and mini auctions is enough to kind of handle this player movement, and
Yeah,
they don't really need the mega auctions. So it's a good step in the right direction. That's what I feel. This expansion of trade windows and most teams willing to take part. Uh, but the only thing I would like to see improve is a bit more transparency or a bit more uh, clarity on what is going on with the trading. Because we have seen a lot of times uh, third party outlets are really going hard on the leaks and trying to build a narrative and spreading fake news, as we did talk about. And maybe if the officials from the franchises or the IPL itself can communicate what is happening to the fans, that would make it a better experience and not necessarily wait till the last day or when the trading window has closed to announce your trades. Maybe you can just open it up in maybe August or September, and as the trades happen, just announce it. That would be a much better way to embrace the trade window rather than hide it and show it at the very end.
Yeah, and there are also a lot of rumors that are being spread just to gain views. So we fell for it for players like Classe and Stark, but we need more people like R. Ashwin who leak trades even before it happens. Because I think he leaked the trade of Shardul Thakur. So MI then had to announce it because Ashwin had already said it. So I hope he does more good work like this for us.
Yeah, because just imagine how cool it would be for the fans to just randomly open their social media and see the official team announcing the certain trade. Like I saw a lot of content made by the teams after they announced their trades, and I think teams are capable of doing that. So instead of waiting for the last moment and uh, giving an opportunity for those nasty leakers, if you can do it on your own. I would like everyone to watch the Ravindra Jadeja welcome video by Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah.
And after watching it, just imagine that you're a Rajasthan Royals fan and you open Instagram and you see this reel as a way to announce that Jadeja has moved from CSK to RR. It would be such a cool feeling. So I would like that to happen more regularly in the industry.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, it will grow from here.
Yeah. So I think with that, our part one of the project auction, Project 2026, has come to an end. In the next episode, which will be uh, in the week leading up to the auction, we will talk about how much purse each team has specifically and the kind of slots they are looking to fill. So that would also be another interesting episode. But until then, this is Ved signing off.
Bye.